Good afternoon. My name is Jim Pinio. I'm here with the Board of Selectmen. John Thurston to my right, Dave Senecal, Linda Murray, Paul O'Brien, and Brian DeShays. Also here with some department heads this afternoon, and we're going to review the proposed warrant articles for 2026. To give you an idea of the 2026 process, the deliberative session is scheduled for February 3rd, 2026, 7 p.m. right here in the Great Hall. And town meeting vote is scheduled for March 10th, 2026, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. right here in the Great Hall. Article number 3, which is 2026 Fire Rescue Ambulance and Staffing. Paul O'Brien and Brian DeShays are going to introduce this article, speak to it, and Chief Zotti and Deputy Chief Evangelista will speak on afterwards.
Thank you very much. So Article 3 is the 2026 Fire Rescue Ambulance and Staffing. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,084,966 to establish a fire-based ambulance service for the town of Wolfeboro. Authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for, obtain, and accept federal, state, and/or other aid, grants, and donations, if any, which may be available for said project that may reduce the appropriate sum of $1,084,966, and to comply with all laws applicable, and to authorize the Wolfeboro Select Board to take any other actions or to pass any other vote relative thereto, and to authorize the town manager to sign any relating documents. The plan is to transition away from the current contracted ambulance service. This appropriation will come from taxation. The first year of this plan is wages to hire 4 firefighters, EMS personnel effective July 1st, 2026, $184,590. Benefits to hire 4 firefighter EMS personnel as of July 1st, 2026, $170,520. Operating expenses for the above 4 new hires, $104,856. Purchase of fully equipped new ambulance, $625,000. 2026 total, $1,084,966. All funds associated with the 4 firefighters EMS personnel will become part of all future budgets. Estimated full year costs for 2027 are as follows. Wages, $341,440. Benefits, $333,079 for a total of $674,519. The estimated tax rate impact for 2026 is 22 cents per $1,000 assessed valuation. The estimated tax rate impact for 2027 is 13 cents per 1,000 assessed valuation. Recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 4-1, and recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 9-1. A majority vote required. This is a very important warrant article. This warrant article parlays the vote that was approved by the voters last year, and the town of Wolfeboro will become one of 3/4, 75% of the municipalities and towns in New Hampshire that offer fire-based or municipal-based ambulance service. Private ambulance services are leaving the state of New Hampshire, and towns are being left without service. This is the route that we need to go to make sure that our citizens are protected. I will pass this over now to Captain Tom Zotti and Brian Evangelista, who is the deputy of the ambulance service.
Thank you. Tom Zotti, Fire Chief. As you're well aware, what we're talking about this year represents we'll call it the second phase of the fire-based ambulance project that was approved by voters starting in 2025. Last year, I say last year, it technically is. Last year, voters approved a number of warrant articles that, number one, got the first phase of the program up and running, and number two, gave us an indication that this was the direction they wanted to go in the future. So we stand before you with the year 2 of the project. As you can see on the slide, in 2025, we were able to complete Phase 1, which included buying a used ambulance and equipping it, hiring additional staff to begin to be in a position to operate the ambulance. As many are aware, we did start ambulance transport in the Fire Rescue Department on the 5th of January of this year as a part of our phase-in program, essentially swapping days with Stewart's Ambulance, the current provider. As part of that approval, we created the position of the Deputy Chief of EMS, and without much further ado, I'd like to introduce the person who is filling that role for us. Brian Evangelista comes to us from a state south of here, where he successfully implemented a very similar program to what is before you today. And without further ado, Deputy.
Thank you, Chief. Just want to speak on this article. So it comes obviously to us to 4 firefighters for staffing. And then also you see the biggest portion up there has to do with the ambulance, purchase of an ambulance, fully equipped ambulance. What this means is this ambulance is equipped with everything that's necessary to transport a patient, which includes obviously the patient stretcher assembly, a stair chair, which is this chair that actually carries people out of the house, a cardiac monitor, IV supplies, airway and breathing supplies, and an IV medication pump, and also disposables that we would be using throughout the transport and through the year. The good thing is eventually, hopefully our revenue will start to offset some of these expenses, which we'll talk about in a little bit, a proposed revolving account, which we'll talk about a little later.
I would just add, in 2025, as the chief alluded to, we started this process. We've completed the hiring of staffing. As you can see in this warrant article from last year, we've completed everything except for the purchase of the deputy chief's paramedic vehicle, which is a pending item right now. This was approved last year by the voters, 1,005 to 598, or 63%. The other warrant article that was approved last year was a non-binding referendum asking you if you would like to see us go forward with this proposal again in 2026. We are in front of you for that proposal in 2026. That was approved by the Selectmen 5-0, approved by the Budget Committee 10-0, and approved by the voters 1,031 to 570, or 64%. And lastly, in August of 2023, I gave a presentation to the board on the future of ambulance service with the town of Wolfeboro. At that time, we received a letter from Justin Van Enten, the president of Stewart's Ambulance Service, and to quote him in this letter that we received, "Given my experience and my discussions with the town, I believe it is the best EMS option for Wolfeboro in terms of both quality of cost is to have Wolfeboro Fire provide primary 911 response. Stewart's came to a similar conclusion in Laconia in 2018, and that's Justin Van Etten, the executive chairman of Stewart's Ambulance. We look forward to you supporting this article, getting this to the final phase so that in 2027 we no longer have a contracted ambulance service.
I'm going to address Article 4, which is the impact negotiations. Let me speak briefly to it. In concert with the decision that the town took to create a new fire-based ambulance service, the town entered into negotiations with Local 3657 of the American Federation of State and Municipal Employees to create a separate and distinct collective bargaining unit for our fire-based EMT and paramedic folks. The town manager looked over a dozen different towns and municipalities around the state to ensure that our proposed wage and benefits were consistent with other entities and structured in a way to attract and retain personnel. We achieved that objective, and we also achieved the goal of creating a set of work rules that are fair and consistent to keep us fully prepared to serve you. Let me read the article, Article 4, Impact Negotiations. To see if the town will vote to approve the costs which are the result of impact negotiations with the existing employees resulting from the town transitioning to a fire department ambulance service. This new collective bargaining agreement reached between the Select Board and Local 3657 of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, known as AFSCME, calls for the following increase in wages and benefits at the current staffing levels. In 2026, wages increased $73,586. In 2026, benefits are pegged at $22,518. In 2027, wages increase $22,094, and in 2027, benefits increase $6,761. Further, to raise and appropriate a sum of $96,104 for the current fiscal years, such sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in wages and benefits required by the new agreement over those that have been previously approved. The estimated tax rate for 2026 is 2 cents per $1,000 of valuation. The estimated tax rate in 2027 is 1 cent per 1,000 assessed valuation. This is recommended by the Select Board at a vote of 5-0. It was recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 9-1. A majority vote on this article is required. With that, I'll turn it over to Chief Zadi.
Thank you. We did note that it's somewhat unusual for management to be here speaking in favor of the union contract, but we're okay with that, and I hope to shed some light on why. First of all, this article, if approved, does a number of things for the community, including, frankly, creating pay scales for advanced EMS providers, particularly AEMTs, advanced EMTs, and paramedics, that, frankly, we didn't have previously. Over time, some of us had acquired some of these advanced certifications, but it was in the, quite frankly, spirit of doing what you can individually to provide a higher level of service and personal growth and that sort of thing. But we never had a pay scale that reflected those additional duties because, frankly, in our previous model of response, where we provided first response medical care going back 30 plus years, and then the separate Wolfeboro Rescue Squad before that, back to the 1960s, the one element that we never did was perform the actual transport. So, as one might imagine, that creates a higher expectation and a higher level of commitment, and this agreement allows us to create a pay scale that recognizes that. It also incentivizes current staff to consider upgrading to those advanced levels. Several have as part of this project, but it then again creates a fair playing field and so forth for the people who are performing those skills and providing that service. And perhaps bigger picture, it also creates a wage scale that's competitive with communities around the state of similar size and similar activity level, to allow us to hopefully, as time goes by, attract and be able to hire advanced level providers and experienced providers to continue to provide the level of service that the town has come to expect. Thank you.
I would just add that this does contemplate 13 employees at this time. And additionally, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but a paramedic program is around 2,200 hours. Is that correct? Thank you. Moving on to Article 5, Contracted Ambulance Services. I believe this is Paul and Brian again.
Thanks, Jim. Article 5, Contracted Ambulance Service. As you've heard, and as you most likely know, Stewart's Ambulance has been our primary ambulance provider to date. Just a few weeks ago, as the deputy and the chief shared with us, the town of Wolfeboro began to operate in a secondary mode to Stewart's. We asked Stewart's to give us a ramp-up time to get our new team on board and trained so that we could smoothly transition to our full-service model in late 2026. This article is designed to pay down the agreement in 2026, effectively phasing out our Stewart's contract as our primary provider and transitioning to the town of Wolfeboro. The article reads as follows. Article 5, Contract Ambulance Service. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $292,097 for the purpose of funding contracted ambulance services through December 31, 2026. These funds will be combined with $275,953 in budgeted funds in the operating budget, line 01-42150-350, for a total contract cost in 2026 of $568,080. This appropriation will come from taxation. Estimated tax rate impact in 2026 is 6 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 9-0 with 1 abstention. Majority vote of this is required. I'll turn it over to the chief.
Thank you. Once again, this article, the $292,097 allows us to get to the total for 2026 of $568,000 for the last year of the contract. I would like to point out that that number is a reduction that reflects us operating one of the 2 ambulances from an $808,000 figure. So we're hopefully starting to realize some of the savings as we move forward. Again, this essentially allows us to finish out the contract with a private provider, and essentially allows us to do that with providing a smooth transition to full operation by fire rescue on or about the 1st of January of 2027, with no reduction in the service to our community members. We will still have, up through that time, 2 ambulances, one of them staffed by us, one of them staffed by Stewart's, and then make that transition complete on January 1st of 27. Thank you.
And I'd like to reiterate what the chief just said. The importance of Article 5, the contract ambulance service, is so that we will maintain 2 ambulances 24/7 for the entire calendar year of 2026. This is a very important warrant article that the citizens should support for the safety of the community. So I hope everybody understands that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Our next article is Article 6, Town Road Upgrades. Linda Murray's going to speak to this with Steve Randall to follow up. Linda?
Yeah. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $900,000 for the purpose of upgrading and engineering for the town roads and drainage systems. This appropriation will come from taxation, is non-elapsing pursuant to RSA 32:76, and shall elapse on December 31st, 2027, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Estimated tax impact 2026, 18 cents per 100 per thousand assessed valuation, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-1-1. Majority vote is required. This warrant article, if approved, will have $900,000 to repair and upgrade town roads, which is the same amount as last year's warrant article. The town's road surface management plan was used to identify the specific roads to be upgraded and repaired in 2026. I will turn this over to Steve Randall to give you the details.
Yes, Steve Randall, Public Works Director. So our 2026 list is going to consist of more work on Sewell Road. We have shimming to do on the second half and then a top coat. We are going to move to the next phase on Beach Pond, which will, when we are done, will complete the full pave sections to get us no more dirt. Trask Mountain Road, we have a 2,100-foot section of dirt road there that we are looking to pave that will connect all the paved sections on that run as well. We have a parking lot out by Linda's Flowers and out back here of the town hall that was on the 2025 list that we had to bump to 2026. We have a large, very large culvert on Haynes Hill Road that we are going to be looking to replace as well. And then our dirt road upgrades will be North Wakefield Road and Jonathan Hersey Road. So with that, we have a good estimate of $900,000 worth of work. Our roads in this town, as everybody knows and travels on, do need a lot of work. So this is an extremely important warrant article, and we are very much looking forward for your support.
Thank you, Steve. Next article is Article 7, which is the replacement of 2 police vehicles, and John Thurston's going to speak to this, followed up by Chief Warren. John?
I think Paul's going to speak.
Oh, Paul is, sorry. My bad. Paul.
Thanks, Jim. Article 7, police cruiser replacement, in brackets, 2. We're very lucky to have the team of officers, dispatchers, and leaders in our police department. We have refreshed and keep refreshing that team every day. They keep us safe and they improve themselves. Last April, the entire fleet of police cruisers, April of 2025, the entire fleet was professionally assessed for mechanical and structural integrity. At that time, a couple of warning bells went off, sounded that 2 of our cruisers, in fact, were in a bit of difficulty structurally, and one of those cruisers has now been taken out of service. You know, I'm about to read the article, but I just want to remind folks that keeping us safe is really important, that keeping our officers safe while they're on the job and on the road goes hand in hand with that. So let me read the article. Article 7, police cruiser replacement, in brackets, 2. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $140,000 to purchase 2 new police cruisers and ancillary equipment. Said appropriation to be offset by $16,000, which represents a portion of the accumulated revenue in the Special Police Detail Revolving Fund created by Article 23 back in 2000 and 2006, which has accumulated from special details in prior years, and $124,000 from general taxation. Estimated tax impact 2026, 3 cents per 1,000 of assessed valuation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0. Majority vote on this article is required. With that, I'll turn it over to Chief Warren.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. This does feel like a whole lot of reiteration, but let me just give you some facts that I know I've been asked over the past couple weeks from various folks in the town. The current cruiser inventory, as far as cars that are able to work, is 8. The inventory of cruisers that was assembled and believed to be required in this town over the years has gone from 11 to 10, I believe. 10 appears, by my own estimation, to be the right number per car or for the department. I have not seen 10 cars since my arrival here 2 years ago. The 2-car request, this is the 3rd year in a row that the department has asked for 2 cars. The last 2 years, as you recall, that article was voted down. The my understanding going back quite a few years was there was a plan on replacement of cruisers, and that's wise. So you're not in the situation that we find ourselves in now. The cars to be replaced is car 7 and car 2. And some of you may be thinking, I don't even remember a car 7. We haven't had one in my tenure. Car 7 was one of the 10 cars that left the inventory and was not replaced due to high rust and inability to be inspected. Car 2 is the one that we lost this year for the same reason, high rust and inability to be inspected. So those 2 cars would be replaced this year. To answer a question from the Budget Committee, and a suggestion by a member of that committee was, yes, I will be very open with you all and say we will be here next year asking for 2 more cars. And then hopefully after that we can get back to the 1 car a year program. But it's imperative that this year we get 2 cars to replace 2 cars that we don't even have. They're not replacing cars that are on the road right now. They're replacing cars that we've had to take off the road.
And Chief, just for a data point, these cars we're talking about replacing are 2016 vintage?
I don't recall the car that was car 7. I believe that was a Taurus. And I don't know what vintage that was, but the other car is a 2016. That leaves 3 2016s left that are currently on the road. I believe those will be replaced. As far as car 3 goes, we expect to lose that this year. We're still going to be cars down by next year, and I'll be making pretty much the same statement. But it's just catch up, and unfortunately, I obviously don't want to impact or try to impact the town or even ask the town for such an impact. But now we're in that place where we have got to catch up, and we're doing the best we can with the cars we do have. Just a point of note, one of the cars we has that is fairly new, it's the second newest in the line, has 57,000 miles on it. It's currently at his shop being repaired. And cars get that way. So we're doing the best we can with what we have, but they are, the cars that are left in the line are doing the work of a 10 fleet situation with 8 vehicles.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Your next article is Article 8, Department of Public Works Grant Vehicle. Dave Senecal is going to present this, and Steve Randall will speak to it. Dave?
Yeah, Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $285,000 to replace a Class 8 6-wheel dump truck in the Department of Public Works. Authorize the Wolfeboro Select Board to apply for and accept such monies as may become available from the federal and state governments and other aid, grants, and donations, which may be available for said project that may reduce the sum of $285,000, and to authorize the Select Board to take and other actions or pass any other vote relative thereto, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related documents. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32:7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31st, 2026 upon completion of the project. The town has been awarded the 70% grant through Granite State Clean Fleets Grant in the amount of $187,897, with 30% to be raised through taxation, $97,103. The engine of the existing truck must be destroyed as part of the award grant. With this grant award, taxation will be impacted, $97,103. Tax rate impact in 2026 is 2 cents per thousand. Recommended by the Select Board, a vote of 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee of 10-0. I believe in the past we have been in this situation before. We have got the grant for this type of truck. The only caveat, like I mentioned, is the engine has to be destroyed so the truck can no longer be in service. Steve, do you have anything to add to that?
So this is HD7, which is our oldest truck in the fleet. It is 24 years old. We've done 3 motor jobs on it. It is well past its prime. This was on our replacement list, would have been in 25 when the warrant article got voted down. So we were able to put through for this grant. We got it approval, and 70% forgiveness is huge. So to get a $285,000 truck for $97,000 is amazing. The prices of all of our equipment just keeps screaming up, up, and up. Prices are never going to come down. It's been a good truck. It is just well past its life cycle. So at 70% grant, I really hope we get the support for this.
Thank you, Steve. Next article is Article 9, Sidewalks. This will be presented by Linda Murray, and Steve Randall will speak to it. Linda?
Yep. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $75,000 for the purpose of making repairs to existing sidewalks. This appropriation will come from taxation, is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32:7 Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31st, 2027, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Estimated tax rate for 2026 is 2 cents per 1,000 of assessed evaluation, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0, majority vote required. This warrant article is requesting $75,000 to be spent in 2026 to repair and patch sidewalks in the downtown and along North Main Street. After the Select Board toured downtown and assessed the condition of the sidewalk, it decided not to allocate to the sidewalk capital reserve, but instead to spend the full amount on sidewalks in 2026. I hope you will support this warrant article, and I'll turn it over to Steve Randall.
So there is a list that you'll be able to see. We have a bunch of concrete sections in downtown that need to be replaced. So this is not a full downtown rebuild by any stretch, but this will take all of those bad sections that everybody sees when they walk past, get those back up to safe and aesthetically pleasing. We have a couple ADA areas as well that we're going to be able to address. And then there is some paving sidewalks on North Main that we're going to take care of at the same time with this. So it's another very important article that we would like your support on.
Thank you, Steve. Your next article is the wastewater treatment plant, Article 10. I have Linda Murray presenting this and Steve Randall to speak to it. Linda?
Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $175,000 for the purpose of ongoing repairs and upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32:7 Roman numeral 6 and shall elapse on December 31st, 2026, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This appropriation will come from taxation. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 4 cents per 100,000 of assessed valuation, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0. Majority vote required. This warrant article asks voters to appropriate spending $175,000 for repairs and upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant. The Select Board decided not to place $175,000 into the wastewater treatment plant capital reserve account, but instead spend the full amount on repairs in 2026. Since 2007, the town has used a phased approach to repairs and upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant. In 2007 and 2008, the town changed the treatment plant process. In 2010, the headworks were upgraded, and in 2012, the spray field buildings were repaired. In 2013, the Capital Reserve Fund was established to make repairs and improvements to the plant. In 2015, the wastewater treatment plant capital reserve warrant article laid out a 10-year, $1 million plan at $125,000 each year to make improvements to the 1970 plant. In 2015, the Wolfeboro wastewater treatment plant was awarded the New Hampshire Small Wastewater Plant of the Year. In 2023, many of the 1985 pumps were replaced. In 1926, the Select Board will receive a report from Wooden and Kern, the town plant operators, on whether to continue with a phased upgrade approach to the existing wastewater treatment plant or whether it is time for a new plant. Please support this warrant article. I'll turn it over to Steve Randall.
So this is has turned into our annual ask. Wood and Kern's original ask was for $250. We brought that down to $175. There is a list of what they want to spend the money on and what they want to do. This is what we use to keep the plant running. Our regular operating budget is for them to actually run the plant, but this is the stuff that we need to actually keep the thing moving. From the electrical upgrades to different pump replacements to, things down to doors and windows. These are the things we need to keep the plant running. So very much would like your support.
Thanks, Steve. Next article is Article 11, Small Sewer Pump Station Repairs and Upgrades. John Thurston will speak to this, and Steve Randall. John?
To see if the town of Wolfeboro will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to perform repairs and maintenance. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA:32:7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31st, 2027, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This appropriation will come from taxation, estimated tax rate impact, 2026, 2 cents per 1,000 assessed valuation, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0, majority vote required. This is a vital part of our infrastructure going forward. We need to stay up on these items and keep on paying attention and improving their mechanical abilities.
So some voters will recognize this, the same wording that we had on here last year. And going forward, this will be a yearly article that I bring forward. We have 7 smaller stations. That does include those 2 large ones, one on Lana Street that was finished last year, one on Mill Street that will start this year. These 7 smaller ones are scattered throughout the town. Last year's money we took and did an evaluation on them. That is basically going to get us a list on the ones that we need to replace and when we need to replace them. So going forward, we're going to ask for this money each year. That will keep these pump stations running and allow us to work towards the next replacement at the same time. So it is an extremely important warrant article. We look forward to your support.
Thanks, Steve. Your next article is Clark Complex Repairs, Article 12. John Thurston will present this, and Christine Collins will be able to speak to the article. John?
To see if the town of Wolfeboro will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the purpose of making necessary structural repairs to the Clark House Museum and continued engineering of the Pleasant Valley Schoolhouse. This appropriation will come from taxation and is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32:7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31st, 2027, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Estimated tax impact, 2026, 1 cent per thousand assessed value, recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 4 to 1, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0, majority vote required. As our historical town goes, so does our historical buildings, and we have accumulated this nice area so people that come from other areas can appreciate our historical aspects of our town. I think one of the great things in this town is we can look back and say that this was a real important era, and these buildings are very important to our story of the town of Wolfeboro. I support this article, and I hope you do too.
Thank you. Christine Collins, Parks and Recreation Director. This Clark House complex is actually utilized by our Historical Society, and they have a lot of great offerings. They offer events, school tours, they do a lot of lecture series, and they most recently have been continuing with the Halloween get-together. We known that we've had some issues at the schoolhouse, and this has been on the docket, and then it didn't pass before. So we're bringing it back to the table. We want to finish up the fixes that need to be done and do a little bit more research on that schoolhouse to bring it up to where it needs to be. I feel the Historical Society has been pretty active lately, and they're trying to bring more and more events to that facility. So we just need to make sure the building is up to par, and I hope you would support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Next article is Article 13, Foss Field Court Repairs. Brian DeShays is going to speak to this with Christine Collins to give added input. Brian?
So Article 13 is the Foss Field Court Repairs. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of resurfacing the tennis, pickleball, basketball courts at Foss Field Pavilion. This appropriation is from taxation and is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32:7 Roman numeral 6 and shall lapse on December 31st, 2027 or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Estimated tax rate impact 2026 is 1 cent per $1,000 assessed valuation. Recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 3 to 2. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10 to 0. Majority vote required. And just to be clear, this is for all the courts at the Foss Field Pavilion area. And I'll pass it to Christine Collins for more information.
Thank you, Christine Collins, Parks and Recreation Director. I've been here for 17 years, and it has been a joy to watch Foss Field grow. When we first started, we had a little shack that got torn down, and then we made it work. So we've just been really prideful on that space. It's been pretty popular, and it keeps growing. So we're trying to do our due diligence and make sure we're taking care of it. Every 6 years, our courts are supposed to be resurfaced, and that includes the basketball, pickleball, and tennis courts. We actually are in year 7, so we are behind the 8 ball a little bit. We do our maintenance, we do our daily cleanings, and we fill in any cracks that we have. However, it is important that we do the resurfacing so that no frost gets below the surface and actually destroys the courts. So to keep them in good shape and be able to be used year after year without having to replace them, it's important to do this every 6 years or so. So we're hoping this passes this year so we can get back on track. I hope you support this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Our next article is Article 14, which is Water Resources Non-Capital Reserve Fund, and Linda Murray is going to speak to this. Linda?
Yes, Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the existing non-capital reserve fund, which as of December 31st, 2025, had a balance of $44,750. These funds are under the custody of the trustees of trust funds with the Wolfeboro Select Board as agents to expend from this non-capital reserve fund. This appropriation will come from taxation. Estimated tax impact 2026, $1 per 1,000 of assessed valuation, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 5 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10 to 0, majority vote required. The Water Resource Non-Capital Reserve Fund allows the town to save funds to address water quality issues and support watershed management plans. The Wolfeboro Waters Committee is monitoring several projects to ensure that best management practices are used and to promote the use of filtration systems. These funds could support key projects, such as 319 grants to address stormwater runoff entering Russ Pond, or filtration/containment systems to slow storm water as identified in the watershed management plans for the different lakes. Please support this warrant article.
Thank you, Linda. Our next article is Article 15, which is the water treatment plant upgrades and repairs. John Thurston is going to speak to this, backed up by Steve Randall. John?
To see if the town of Wolfeboro will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to continue yearly maintenance of the water treatment plant facility. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA:32:7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31st, 2027, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This project will be paid for by the Water Enterprise Fund and will not result in any increase in the tax rate. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0. Recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 10-0. Majority vote required. Another vital part of our infrastructure. We can't go without supporting this because we're just going to get behind the 8 ball, and we have to support this. No question. I support it. Steve Randall to speak about it.
Steve Randall, Public Works. So this is our yearly ask. All of our maintenance and everything that we do at the plant is based on a asset management program. So we've plugged in what we need to do, how much we need to have, and we've balanced that over the next 10 to 15 years. So this will be a yearly ask. We started last year. We'll continue it this year and continue to go forward. As John said, it is a vital part of the town, and we need to keep the plant up to par and running. Look forward to your support.
Thanks, Steve. Your next article is Article 16, which is the ambulance revolving fund. Dave Senecal is to speak to this with Chief Zotti and Deputy Chief Evangelista to support. Dave?
Thanks, Jim. To see if the town will vote to establish a revolving fund pursuant to RSA 31:95-H for the purpose of purchasing ambulance services, expendables, and capital costs to include ambulances, cardiac monitors, stretchers, and other equipment necessary under state rule to operate a transport ambulance. Effective January 1 of 2027, 35% of revenues received from ambulance services billing fees, charges, and other income derived from the activities or service supported by the fund will be deposited into the fund, and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. Town treasurer shall have custody of all money in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the Select Board, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose for which the fund was created. 65% balance of revenues received from the ambulance services, billing fees, charges, or other income derived from the activities or services supported by the fund will be deposited into the general fund. Estimated tax rate 2026 is 0 per thousand. recommended by the Select Board 5-0, and recommended by the Budget Committee in a 5-to-1 vote. Tom, you want to explain exactly what it's for?
Sure. Thank you. Again, this is the final article in this go-around that deals with the ambulance project. Essentially, what this will allow us to do is to take, in our case, 35% of the revenues that we anticipate from ambulance billing and place them in this fund. That money will allow us to put ambulances on a regular replacement schedule, our what I'll call bigger ticket equipment for the ambulances on a regular replacement schedule. When we talk about that, obviously some of it is spelled out in the Warrant article, and I think it's important we talk about cardiac monitors and stretchers and things like that. These are not AEDs. These are high-end, very elaborate, very expensive pieces of equipment that allow us to provide an advanced level of care in the field and literally transmit the results of that care to, in our case, primarily Huggins Hospital. A full cardiac monitor package today is a $65,000 item in and by itself. Stretchers are, in our case, we use what we call a power loader. It allows us to do away with the days of what you might see on television or in the movies, where you've got 6 personnel on all corners of a cot lifting it into the back of an ambulance. This device allows us to do that mechanically, load the patient into the back of the ambulance using the power loader. That's about a $45,000 item. It's gone from a nicety to a necessity over the years. It's one of those things. Number one, it's for the safety of our members, lifting repeatedly over the course of a day or a week or a shift, and that sort of thing. Expendables is a general category. That's more of the day-to-day gloves and protective gowns and masks and things that we literally use and dispose of. The benefit to this fund would be, as we go forward, it allows us to remove those items from the budget and pay for them out of the ambulance revenue, out of the revolving fund, and don't have to ask taxpayers to fund it. The remaining 65% would go to the general fund, again, to offset taxes, which in the bigger picture is how this ambulance project becomes the most cost-effective solution to the ambulance situation going forward. And at this point, if the deputy has anything he wants to add to that. No? Okay. Again, we urge folks to support this, and again, with any of our articles, we encourage, stop by the station, give us a call if you have questions that we'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief. The next article is Article 17, which is the expansion of the Police Commission, and I believe Paul O'Brien is going to speak to this. Paul?
Article 17, expansion of the Police Commission. This was submitted to the Select Board by the Police Commissioners for the public to weigh in on. Let me read the article. To see if the town will vote to approve the expansion of the Wolfeboro Police Commission from 3 to 5 elected members. Should this article pass, the results shall be forwarded to the New Hampshire State Legislature for consideration to make all applicable changes to the 1959 House Bill number 420, Chapter 377, including the manner in which additional members of the Police Commission shall be elected and the terms of office for each member. Estimated tax rate impact for 2026 is $0 per 1,000 of assessed valuation. The the Select Board did not vote on this. This is by the Police Commissioners, so they can, they have the ability to come through us for this. In sum and substance, they're asking to expand their board from 3 to 5. They can't just do it. and it has to go down to the state legislature to get permission to do it. And the state legislature will also, as it says in the article, will help them figure out how to sequence how newly elected officials come forward. That's all I have on that, Jim.
Thanks, Paul. Article 18 is your next article, Disabled Veterans Tax Credit, and Brian DeShays is going to speak to this. Brian?
So, Deputy Fire Chief Nate Nichols came to me. He did several tours overseas. It might be 5, from what I recollect, serving for our country. And he asked that we have the citizens in Wolfeboro consider increasing the permanent total disability tax exemption or tax credit for service members. This would include paraplegic amputees and those left completely blind and with other conditions that make it impossible for them to work and support themselves. So I brought it to our select board, and our select board was very, very open to allowing the public to weigh in on this. So Article 18 says the Disabled Veterans Tax Credit. Shall the town of Wolfeboro modify the provisions of RSA 72:35 for an optional property tax credit of $5,000 for service-connected total and permanent disability on residential property? Estimated tax rate impact for 2026 is 0 cents per thousand assessed valuation, and it was recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0, and it requires a majority vote of the town.
Thank you, Brian. And I would just note for people out there that you will see a similar petition warrant article on the ballot this year. The Board of Selectmen took this matter on after we received the petition warrant article. Both will appear on the ballot, the petition because it has to by law, and the Select Board because they adopted this. And this provision is actually to the maximum of $5,000, which is higher than what the petition was. Article 19, Firehouse Community Center. This has yet to be voted on by the Board of Selectmen, but Brian will read the article into the record and speak to it and how we got to this point. Brian?
So the town for years has been examining options for a new community center. We have the complex over on Lerner Street that has the electric building and the current community center building, which is called the Firehouse Community Center building. During our conversations, a citizen came forward and has offered to completely privately fund with donations from the citizens of the town of Wolfeboro and surrounding communities the complete rebuild and rehabilitation and reconstruction of our Firehouse Community Center on Lerner Street. So the town has to have authorization from the voters in order to collect such monies. So Article 19 is the Firehouse Community Center. To see if the town will vote to allow the Select Board to accept any and all donations, gifts, and grants to the town in trust or otherwise for the purpose of the design, renovation, reconstruction, and/or maintenance of the Firehouse Community Center building on Lerner Street. This authority shall continue until rescinded. Further, to allow the Select Board to transfer any funds previously received for a similar purpose to the Firehouse Community Center Trust Fund. Said fund is under the custody of the trustees of the trust funds, with the Select Board designated as agents to expend. Estimated tax rate impact 2026 is 0 cents per $1,000 assessed valuation. The board has not recommended this yet because we have not voted on it. We will be voting on it tonight. I think myself that it's a worthy project to take on. We've already received donations of $35,000 in 2025 for this project, and I hope the citizens and the select board recommends this warrant article. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And I would just note that these warrant articles are currently in DRA's reviews, so there could be some minor changes that occur to these articles based on what DRA, Department of Revenue Administration, recommends. They have been reviewed by legal. Board, I'm not sure how you'd like to go about reading the petition warrant articles into the record.
Why don't you just read them?
You would like me to do that? I can do
Yeah.
that.
Just go through.
Article 20. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $75,000 to authorize the select board to engage in independent consulting firm to conduct a comprehensive organizational operations review with actionable recommendations. The purpose of this review shall be to identify opportunities for organizational improvement and cost efficiencies. The consultant's final report shall be presented to the select board at a public meeting with written findings and actionable recommendations no later than December 31, 2026. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 2 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, and I apologize for not having the data in there for the votes. I've got to get that completed.
You got him.
Just one thing, Article 20, the People's Petition, it was recommended by the Select Board by a vote of 4, 1, and 1 abstention, and it was not recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 5, 4, 1 abstention.
Was it the select board 3, 1 no, and 1 abstention?
Was it?
3, 1, 1.
I will have this slide
Correct.
updated for
3,
the presentation.
1, you're correct.
Yeah.
And not recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 5, 4, and 1.
Article 21, petition veterans tax credit. To see if the town will vote to increase the 100% permanent and total P&T disabled veterans property tax credit from $1,900 annually to $3,500. The state of New Hampshire has already approved an increase to $5,000. We're asking for $3,500. It is up to the individual towns. No taxpayer funds requested for this article. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Related to the veterans tax credit. Functionally, petition warrant articles are advisory only, so if these articles both pass, the Board of Selectmen will honor the $5,000 tax credit as written within their warrant article. If that article fails, meaning the Board of Selectmen fails, and this advisory one fails, there will have to be conversations with the board how they would like to handle that going forward, where this is an advisory petition warrant article. If they both fail, then there will be no increase in the existing veterans tax credit. Your next one is Article 22, Crosswalk Petition, an article for March 2026, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, town warrant, submitted by petition of citizens and taxpayers of Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, by authority of New Hampshire Revised Statutes, Chapter 39, Section 3, to make safety setbacks at downtown crosswalks permanent, to see if the town will approve permanent retention of all the current and existing crosswalk parking setbacks of 20 feet as measured from either side of a crosswalk to the nearest parking space, and to direct the Board of Selectmen to enroll a new parking ordinance in the town ordinance to incorporate this directive. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Warrant Article 23, Petition, Select Board Committees. To see if the town will vote to adopt the following. Individual Select Board members shall serve on no more than two town boards, committees, or commissions. Exceptions are those prescribed by law, and no Select Board member shall serve as a chairman of any of the aforementioned. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Article 24, Citizens Petition, Scenic Rural Roads, to see if the town will vote to maintain its unique and scenic rural character of the town's designated scenic and gravel roads per the 2019 master plan, and shall not widen such roads or pave roads presently gravel unless required by public hearing, shall have been duly noticed and held. Any action thereafter and thereupon subject to the vote of the citizens of Wolfeboro. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Warrant Article 25, Petition, Libby Museum. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $5,000 to be added to the existing Libby Museum Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of renovating and expanding and repairing the Libby Museum. The fund was established by Warrant Article 12 in 2020, and further to amend said Warrant Article number 12 to remove the word expanding to now read for the purpose of renovating and repairing. If this warrant article passes, it will be the first step in removing the Board of Selectmen as trustees, should the Friends of the Libby decline trusteeship. A new Libby Museum 503c3 private nonprofit will assume responsibility for all future fundraising. This warrant article does not pass, the trustees, Board of Selectmen can demolish the building. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 1 cent per thousand of assessed valuation. Board of Selectmen have not voted on this yet, nor has the Budget Committee, and New Hampshire DRA is weighing in on the fact that this has to be a 2/3 majority to change the purpose. And Article 25, final article, to see if the town will restore the parking spaces only in the direction of travel on Main Street immediately after the crosswalk to support the safety setbacks and crosswalks. Doing so will maintain the safety of pedestrians while supporting essential parking spaces. Estimated tax rate impact 2026, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. That summarizes your warrant articles for 2026. Again, town meeting process is February 3rd, 2026, 7 p.m. in the Great Hall will be our deliberative session. That's where you can ask questions and make changes to the warrants on the floor. 2026 town meeting vote, March 10th, 8 a.m. through 7 p.m. here in the Great Hall, where you'll vote on the ballot. Should you have questions about any of these articles, please feel free to reach out to myself, select board members, or the department heads who presented this evening. We will be happy to answer any questions you have. And forthcoming, there will be in-depth presentations relative to the 2026 proposed budget. And that summarizes your warrant articles for 2026. Thank you for taking the time.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.